guest tonight has been making us laugh for over 3 decades. He's doing it now in a highly acclaimed one-man show right on Broadway at the Brooks Atkinson Theater. Please welcome a real one-of-a-kind Jackie Mason.
Thank you. It's wonderful. When you work for nothing, people get excited. That's why I never ask for money anymore.
How did you come up with it, pal? The idea of a one-man show. Well,
I'll tell you the truth. I always felt I was a very big hit, and I started to wonder, how come nobody else noticed it? So I said to myself, you could be a much bigger hit if you do it in front of people. So I said to myself, how do you work this out? I saw Lily Tomlin was a big sensation on Broadway. Right. Then I saw Whoopi Goldberg become a big sensation. And then I said to myself, isn't this amazing? I'm working at nightclubs all my life. And in nightclubs, it's hard to be such a big sensation because no matter how great you are in a nightclub, in the long run, it makes no difference to anybody. Who cares that you're such a hit? The people who come into a nightclub are not really interested in your show in the first place. A guy takes out a girl, why? Because he wants to watch a Jew talk for an hour. A guy comes to a girl's house, and if he had a choice, he would like to make love to her because he takes her out for the same reason that anybody else does. Why do you take out a girl? You got no idea.
Yeah.
You take out a girl because somehow she appeals to you sexually. People are ashamed to admit it, but it's the truth. If it wasn't sex, you would take out your brother-in-law. But you can't admit that it's sex, so you pretend you have to see a show, right? You pretend you have to see a show, because if you walk into a girl's house and say, let's make love, she'll throw you out and she'll call you the lowest person left on earth. Gee, that's right, you can get killed for even suggesting it. To walk into a girl's house and say, let's make love, that makes you so low, even a guy like you probably wouldn't do that. Who would do such a thing? It makes you a lowlife. But if you see a show first, not bad. So the trick is, you have to see a show first before you fool around. So now he sits down at a nightclub. Listen to this. Are you busy? I'll tell you the whole story. He sits down in a nightclub and he's watching me talk. I'm talking and I'm sweating and I'm trying to impress this guy. He couldn't care less if I showed up or not. I'm sweating and he's waiting for me to finish. Because he's looking at this girl, he's trying to breathe. I'm telling him jokes. He's sweating on this project and this problem, and he couldn't care less if I'm funny or not. He's not listening in the first place. He's just waiting for me to finish. He's struggling with his own troubles. He doesn't know if he's going to get a return on his investment or not. Because he's thinking the minimum is his maximum. Are they bringing a drink or not? And he's struggling and worrying. And meanwhile, I'm telling him jokes. He doesn't care about my jokes. The nightclub, to him, is not for entertainment. It's to show us something to do so that he could get to the entertainment later. I'm not the entertainment, I'm the intermission for the real entertainment. So they're not really interested in the show. And you know what I do? I keep looking at them and I never finish the show. I keep talking longer and longer just to get even. Just to get even with this guy because I want to get even with them. I say to myself, who the hell is he to use me to get to her? I'll tell you the truth, I'm sick and tired of being a pimp for guys like this. Because that's what you are when you're a nightclub comedian. But in a theater, you could do a whole broad range of comedy. You could talk about any subject. People have the patience to listen to it. They want to find out about it. A person has a totally different mental attitude when he's in a theater.
Yeah, they don't drink, they're not eating, they're not busy with that.
They're not struggling to try to accomplish something with somebody. I'm the show, not her. I'm the show. They're not sweating, they're waiting, they're watching, they're enjoying, they want to see a show. People have a totally different mental attitude. Now, the fact of the matter is, that right in the show right now, for instance, I talk a lot about political affairs and world affairs. You can't talk about this in a nightclub. People have no patience for that. The same man who's interested in sex 2 o'clock in the morning is interested in politics 8 o'clock in the evening. Why is that? I don't know. Don't make no sense to me, because to me, sex is more interested in politics 8 o'clock too. but an audience in the theater, like right now in the show, now I talk a lot about Reagan and the whole affair in Iran, and you couldn't talk about this in a nightclub. In the theater, they're thrilled to hear about it. because it's this fascinating story to people about how Reagan is trying to claim he never heard about it. He doesn't know who said it. He don't know who did it. He knows something went wrong. He don't know where. They told him it was in the White House, but I was never in the building. It was. He said, besides, I found out it was going on in the basement. I'm upstairs. How should I know? They said, first he said it was no mistake. Then he said, maybe it was a little mistake. Then he said, might have been a big mistake, but who's got time to think about it? I got my own troubles. Then they said, but this is the foreign policy. He says, I got accident and health. I haven't got that foreign policy. This is not my business. Then Schultz said he never heard of it, and the head of Defense Department don't know who did it, and the CIA never knew about it. Nobody knew. One kid by the name of North controlled the whole world. This guy was selling armaments in the millions of dollars all over the world. How would he know anything about millions of dollars? The most he ever made in his life was $85 a week. And from that $85, he found out how to control the whole world of armaments. It's such a preposterous story that they tell people, and people are supposed to believe it. And I know Reagan is by nature not a liar. He's not. He was always an honest man, and he was a very sincere man, and he got involved in this situation, and he doesn't know how to get out of it, so he doesn't know what to say or what to do, so he's improvising his way around. He says, I'm going to cooperate 100% with any congressional committee. Then they went in front of the committee, and immediately when they announced their cooperation, they took the Fifth Amendment. He said, why don't you answer why don't you talk if you're going to cooperate? He said, I was going to talk, but they're asking questions. This is no time to ask questions. They tried to cooperate. Just in the best cooperation, they interrupted him with questions and lost it. Then Reagan announced that North is a national hero. As soon as he announced he's a national hero, he fired him immediately. Is this what you do to a national hero? There should be a parade.
Well, we're gonna take a little break, find out more about the world right after this. We're here with Jackie Mason, of course. You know, Jackie, I said in the introduction, you've always made me laugh, and I always thought you were terrific. And it just, you wonder why, like there was a lapse of time. Now, you know, you're the same guy, material can change, but you're just as funny as you were then. Why do you think now there's such a burst with Jackie Mason? I mean, I heard about out in California, we're talking about your show, and now there's such a success here.
I'll tell you the truth, nobody could figure it out, neither could I. Because the truth of the matter is, there's no excuse for it. Life is never fair. And there are a lot of brilliant talents who would go unrecognized till they pass away. And there are other people who become sensations because they fall into the right show or the right place. If you go into a situation comedy and the situation comedy becomes a hit, everybody on that situation comedy an hour later becomes a star. When the Mary Tyler Moore Show became a sensation, 12 stars came out of it. Everybody. Even if you had 2 lines in the show, 1 line, even if you said hello, if you were the janitor in the building, if you crossed the street against the light, whoever showed up there that show, all of a sudden became a hit. Because the vehicle made them a star. Then there are other people who never happen to fall into the right vehicle, may never make it. Because the vehicle makes you star more than your own talent. Nobody knows why or how to explain it. If I was telling jokes on the stages in Atlantic City in the same places you were going back and forth all over Las Vegas, every place else, and the audience would clamor, applaud, people would give me standing ovations, they would get excited, they would all holler, where's David Brenner? And it somehow made no difference except where I was playing. Now I came out with a one-man show in Los Angeles after seeing the other people do one-man shows. And I thought, well, I'll tell you a few jokes before I go home. And all of a sudden, God rest his soul, Cary Grant came in and he told Gregory Peck about it. Then Gregory Peck came in and told Kirk Douglas about it. Before you know it, the reputation came out that all the major stars are coming in there. 10 minutes later, I saw George Burns sitting in front of me. After that, there's Barbara Streisand. And all of a sudden, I began to realize these places got... How did I become such a sensation? It looked like all these stars have no place to go. I said to myself, if I leave town, everybody's going to pass away. It became a huge hit, and they were telling each other, and before you know it, you couldn't get into the building. I had to do the show from the outside. I couldn't get into the building. It became such a major hit, and what I thought would take a week, all of a sudden led from 1 month to the other, and more stars, and they were coming 5 times, 10 times. George Burns came 3 times, Cary Grant came 3 times, Kirk Douglas came 6 times, Larry Gelbart, the writer of MASH, came 8 times. Maybe it's because they got in for nothing. I don't know the reason. It's hard to explain the reason, but it became such a smash hit that for 6 months I couldn't get out of the neighborhood.
I know, and you know what's amazing?
They were threatening to kill me if they don't come into the show. I was being threatened.
Threatened?
What's
You're going to be killed? You mean you're going to be killed?
That
would be the ending, right? You don't get in the show, they kill you.
$5 for first it was $12, then $27. Then I found out that in the Beverly Wilshire Hotel across the street from my theater, they were selling tickets for $100. Nobody was buying them, but they were selling them.
What I was saying is amazing that during those tough years, that you hung in there. I mean, I always saw your name somewhere in town. You're down in Florida, you're in Vegas. You're so funny, and how did you have the guts, the chutzpah, you just hang in, did you know it's going to happen?
I always felt that even if I'm doing bad, I should thank God that I'm doing bad compared to other people who are doing a lot worse. People don't thank God for what they have in life, and just because of the ego problem of rather being a great, great big star, they're so miserable with what they have that they can't appreciate life itself. Life is more important than being a star, and you ought to thank God. You know, a failure in this business is a success in every other business. In this business, if you're making only $40,000 a week, everybody says, what a pity, look what happened to this guy. Because the truth of the matter is, major stars make $200,000 a week or $500,000. People like Bob Hope make maybe $15, $20 million a year, or Bill Cosby maybe 30, maybe 40 million a year. You maybe 312 million. I don't know what. And you don't even have to go to work. You sit by a chair. I'm sweating, and you make a living.
I got it. This isn't exactly fair. I got to think of 2 questions to ask you.
What's that?
I asked them already.
That's what I mean. This is a fantastic job you got. I really envy you. Because as soon as you sit down, everybody waits for me to be funny. By the time the year is up, I don't want to talk about your money. It's none of my business, but I know you make at least $500,000, maybe $1 million. God bless you. It's none of my business. And I'm not asking, but it might be $2 million, and he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't buy a suit. Look how he dresses. If you had any decency, he'd give the money to a person who wants to buy a jacket at least. So he doesn't care what he looks like. Sits down on a table. I have to invest money in shirts and outfits and schmatters because I'm from the old school. I think you have to look like a performer. He thinks you have to show up close enough. The truth of the matter is, with all these millions that the major stars make, the fact of the matter is, there's nobody more miserable than a star who's down to a lousy $40,000 a week. And everybody pities him. What happened to you? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to survive this? Somebody would think he has no money for a shirt, a pair of pants, or a cup of coffee. He looks like he's passing away from misery. Anybody else who makes a decent living, thanks God, they're doing good. Performers, in my opinion, are very sick human beings. Because when I was... That's right, they're very sick because they should thank God for what the life they have and the money they have, which is still 10 times more than anybody else has. And they don't deserve it. Why do they deserve it? Here I am, and who am I talking to? Why do they deserve it? Let me ask you a question.
You know, we're going to go...
No, this is a great show so far. You know what I like about this? You're the only person in America. Yeah. You're the only person in America. Wait a second. Who am I talking to?
Me? Yeah. No, sir, I'm the only person in America. Then we got to go.
Oh, you do have to go?
Yeah.
Then the hell with it.
All right, that's it. All right, we got to go. Boy, wait a minute. Boy, did I work. I worked so hard tonight. Oh, I'm exhausted. That's it. Good night.